Shake your happy song. Smurf all day long.
Smurf along with me. Simple as can be.
Next time the beat is looking well, smile. Happy beats will come to you.
So smurf yourself a grin.
Ooh, I hate Smurfs.
Now you know that too. You'll be smurfing soon.
Smurf will return after these messages. Well, how do you like my kingdom of half?
It's fun. No, would we like that?
A ride in my half balloon?
Nope.
Has to be the half-day school.
This is even better.
Then it's Halvesies, my crunchy sweet new corn and rice cereal.
It's crunchy sweet, but half the sugar of most sugar-coated cereals.
How does it taste so sweet?
That's my secret. It's Legreen.
No, sweet Halvesies are mine.
Now what?
Half a car.
I don't care. I'm halfway there.
Half a bridge.
What?
Nice work, kids.
Anytime, King.
For new halvesies.
New Halvesies are a crunchy sweet part of this balanced breakfast.
3 new Halvesies books of fun and games have half pictures, tongue twisters,
Peck a pickly.
mazes,
You're stuck.
hidden pictures,
Half
and more. There's one book of fun and games in each specially marked box of Halvesies cereal.
We now return to Smurfs.
Smurf will return after these messages.
Presenting Ronald McDonald in the Captain's Golden Treasure.
Ronald, I found a note in a bottle.
As a pirate, a buccaneer, an old sea dog, if you will, in my expert opinion, that is a booty diagram. What is that?
He said it's a treasure map.
Ah,
Follow this map and do as you're told. A treasure awaits you, a prize that...
Gold.
No, something special.
come on, my please. Lower the boom. Weigh the anchor.
42 pounds, Captain.
Cast the lines.
He means, let's go. I'll go up to the crow's nest and see if I can spot some land. This job's for the birds. Land! Oh, we'll find this special treasure.
Diamonds, rubies,
Comic books.
Gold and filet-fish sandwiches from McDonald's.
aye, fillet of fish, the sensation of the 7 seas, the hit of the high seas, the delight of the deep sea.
Where do we find it?
McDonald's!
McDonald's,
It marks the spot.
Ronald and you.
We now return to Smurfs.
Smurf will return after these messages. Oh, the kids are after me Lucky Charms. Whoops! I'll make a balloon and take off with the crunchy oat cereal with marshmallow surprises. Pink hearts, yellow moons, orange stars, green clovers, and blue diamonds.
Sounds perfectly delicious.
Yikes!
Where are your Lucky Charms?
Right here, my friends. They're part of this good, nutritious breakfast.
Frosted Lucky Charms.
They're magically delicious.
They're magically delicious.
This boy is beginning to slow down. Why did he run out of energy so soon? He didn't fuel up.
What?
With a good breakfast.
Cheerio!
Like this good, nutritious breakfast with toast, juice, milk, and tasty Cheerios, which has almost no sugar. When you fuel up in the morning with a Cheerios breakfast,
It'll really keep you stepping. What?
Cheerio! We now return to Smurf. Smurf will return after these messages. Shh! Don't wake
see him.
Little Beard's the grumpiest pirate afloat.
But we're supposed to cheer him up.
Who goes there?
Snap, crackle, pop.
Sir?
State your business, mates.
To put fun into your morning.
What be fun?
Kellogg's Rice Krispie cereal.
It's fun to put Snap, Crackle, Pop into your morning.
Part of this complete breakfast.
A talking treasure.
Sir, where do pirates come from?
Pittsburgh. Where else?
Come, runners. No trouble. No matter what the odds are, you're always ready for a gunfight with Hubba Bubba. Cause soft, juicy, delicious Hubba Bubba lets you blow amazing, no-stick bubbles that won't stick to your face.
That's why they call them gum runners.
Big bubbles, no troubles.
Muscatel's is your party and holiday headquarters where you'll find everything you need to create a fabulous party, a beautiful wedding, all at low prices at Muscatel's. Easter's just around the corner. Do something different this year. Create a chocolate factory at home with Wilton's candy-making kit, complete with molds and instructions. Decorate with the revolutionary new Instant Egg Art, the no-mess egg decorating kit, just 88 cents. Shop and save today at Muscatel's, your party and craft store, and much, much more.
Do you know what Kit Kat has in store for you? Those light, crispy wafers smothered in rich, creamy chocolate. Kit Kat, the chocolate bar so good. You roar. Kit Kat, the crispy chocolate bar so good you roar.
Trash truck's in trouble. Here comes help.
Checking out the news about Hot Wheels.
The new Hot Wheels Rig Wrecker. Hook her up.
Trash trucks sold separately.
All right.
When you buy these detailed Hot Wheels vehicles in specially marked packages, you can get this new Hot Wheels belt buckle free.
Look what I got free with my new Hot Wheels. Check it out.
The new Hot Wheels Rig Wrecker. Some cars not for use with thumb sets. New from Hot Wheels by Mattel.
Get under the spell of Colgate Gel.
Now that's winter refresh.
Get under the spell of Colgate Gel.
Awesome taste. Yeah.
That's the spell of Colgate Winter Fresh Gel, a creamy blue gel packed with proven MFP fluoride, the maximum fluoride protection a toothpaste can give.
Get under the spell
of blue Colgate Gel. Colgate Regular, Colgate Winter Fresh Gel, the cavity-fighting gel with a winter fresh taste.
It's really fun.
We now return to Smurf. Smurf will return after these messages.
Why, it's apricot and hop salad.
Oh, my. Have you come to share my new strawberry shortcake cereal? Indubitably. That's very nice. It's such a pretty strawberry pink, and its crispy strawberry taste is a very good part of this nutritious breakfast. Mm.
Right. It even smells like strawberries.
Outstanding!
New strawberry shortcake cereal.
It's very delicious. You can win the Sony Watchman TV if you play the Watch and Play game. It's a TV! I want it! The General Mills Watch and Play game is on TV March 26th. Details and game cards in specially marked boxes of Lucky Charms, Cocoa Puffs, Tricks, and Monsters. Or get cards free by writing to Watchman TV Giveaway, Box 9602, Clinton, Iowa. Millions will enter, 1,000 to win. What you got? It's a TV! You want it! Yeah!
It's coming. Sword and Sorcery. And Silliness, the first motion picture.
Motion picture?
To tell the real story of Arthur and Merlin. Walt Disney's The Sword in the Stone. Plus, Winnie the Pooh and...
Give you 3 guesses.
in an all-new featurette. Winnie the Pooh and the Day for...
Eeyore!
I'm not ready to go yet, okay? I'm not ready. You gotta wait. I got shit to do. I'm in the middle of something, all right? Just hold on.
Watch your mouth or don't come in here.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, people, come on, we're adults here. You know what? What is the point?
Yeah, we're adults here. I got a fucking Burger King fucking thing on my head. We're all fucking adults here, guys. People, in my chat, 2 words. What are they? 2 words. Let me see the chat flood. Let me see the chat flood. 2 words. Okay, next caller. Please. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, which translate in American to dick and balls.
I got flip-flops. These are my flip-flops. Yeah, I really like my flip-flops because I can put them on. Because look, watch me put them on. I can put them on all by myself. Watch me put them on. Look, are you watching? Look, these are my flip-flops.
Thanksgiving Day. I remember it clearly. It was Thanksgiving Day. I was inserting myself in somebody else's fucking business as a cash grab, and you know.
This channel is harsh reality.
Karen Yak se jodió la sucia vida. Amen.
This is Jonathan Lee Riches. I have cheeseburgers. I'm gonna put cheese on them. I'm gonna make sure that I have my hamburgers because I'm a big boy now and I can make the hamburgers. My mom lets me use the stove now.
And I'm just like, wow, I like receipts, and they brought receipts. Like they had evidence to back up everything they said. And I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be another side to this, right? Like, this can't, no, this is too fantastic.
Yeah, because you're not going to just jump to the conclusion that there's a conspiracy amongst cops to cover up a murder. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, cops and just, like, soccer moms and shit. Like, that's what made it even crazier. Like,
yeah, get it, Betty. Yeah,
did you have a close relationship with your mom?
Get it, Betty.
Oh, of course, I still do.
Yeah.
My older sister was kind of she was more of the prissy girl, like
that is the best shit fucking
shopping for the dresses with mommy. I was the tomboy that liked playing with the people.
Shout out to Cherry for just being easily the most faithful and loyal supporter that I've ever had. That someone could have that tenacity with loyalty. And I'm really blessed to have someone like Cherry be part of this channel and in my life. So it means a lot. And yes, I named him after Mr. T and Rocky. Say, woman. Say, woman. Say, woman. Since your old man ain't got no heart, why don't you come down to my apartment tonight and I'll show you a real man. Oh my God, I'm so in love with this little dude. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I love you guys very, 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 very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends. Oh, say bye. Say bye. Oh, I love you too. Give me a kiss. Oh, I love you. Bye, guys. welcome everyone. Oh my goodness, I hope everybody's having a good week so far. I know I am. I know Turtle Boy is. I know those of us who have been following this case are, for the most part, at least within the YouTube realm. What's going on in your personal lives, I don't know. I hope it's going well. Now, so I have been on Twitter a little bit the last 24 hours, and it's really fun. It's really fun because I really like to just see a lack of logic. Let me say what's up to some people, man. I see Dana's in the chat. I see Tom CPU's in the chat. Petty Patty, Buzzing for Truth. If I don't call out your name, don't take it personal. I'm just shouting some people out that I happen to see in the chat randomly and that I see quite a bit. Good Citizen, Carrie, Tammy Holcomb, always welcome, and Scott McGinnis, good to see you. Benjamin John, of course. Kirk 71, Valhalla, Paula D, Nancy, Mama Bear, it's good to see you. Yeah, so man, Mick Ramey, I see you. It's good to see you as well. So Twitter's been fun. I've engaged a little bit, but not too much. Yeah, I gotta start with one thing. I saw this footage of, and I get that it looks funny. It does. It looks funny. But like, there's this footage of like Grant like eating his hand, sucking on his hand. And I get it. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, it's just like, it struck a nerve with me though. Like, just that one thing. Maybe I wouldn't laugh at the ass bleeding if I knew somebody that was really close to me that had, you know, colonitis, but but no, here's the thing. Is the word is that Grant's on the spectrum. Okay. Now a lot of people are on the spectrum. So I'm not saying that that's an excuse for his behavior, but that's not something I'm going to pick on him for, only because like I had a cousin when I was little, and her name was Lulu. Okay. And she was autistic and like very autistic. I don't know a lot about how the spectrum works, so excuse my very what seemed to be very ignorant comments on autism, because I really don't know anything about it. So now the thing is, yeah, it's whenever she would get agitated, whenever she would get upset, she would like hit herself, and she would do the same thing with her hand, but bite it. You know, she would bite her hand. So it really reminded me of that, and I was just like, whoa, you know. And then like just all the comments, I was like, wow. But you know, now here's the thing, like if he like if he said that he smoked weed because of his autism, since I don't really know a lot about autism, and I don't know a lot about colonitis either, if I'm being honest, but if he had said something about, you know, that he had that he smoked weed because of his autism, well, then I'd be like, oh, well, you know, okay. You know what I mean? But instead he went with colonitis, which I thought was really weird. I thought that was beyond strange, that he would use ass bleeding as that, and not just colonitis, but say that he smoked weed simply because it supposedly stopped his ass from bleeding. which I don't see any world where medically that's even possible. I just don't see it. Real quick, let me acknowledge these gifted memberships. Kiki, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. I appreciate that. That's amazing. So Caroline Elizabeth, Freeloader Woodchuck, Good Citizen, Carrie Klokic, and Joanne Morgan, welcome. And congrats for memberships. Now, when Cherry is in the chat, she handles the Discord. There is a Discord server for members, and you can join it if you have Discord. If not, I mean, basically, and if you're not familiar with Discord, it's a place where if we're not, it's a place where everyone in chat can still, at least the members that are in chat, can still interact with each other outside of these live streams. So now the thing is I'm not that active in them. I reserve the right to be active if I want to and not be active if I don't want to be. I'm not real big on interactions outside of live streams, behind the scenes stuff. But the thing is, you can absolutely you can go back there and interact with each other. Cherry likes to interact with people behind the scenes too, which is great. Now, one of the things that I'm not real thrilled about is what happens a lot in the true crime community, which is really annoying. What happens quite a bit is there's a lot of shit talking and a lot of gossip that takes place behind the scenes and whatnot. That's fine. If you want to engage in that, that is on you. This is just a disclaimer. I don't engage in that. I dare you to find me screenshots of behind the scenes conversations I'm having, shit talking other people. I dare you to do that. There are like maybe 3 people. I don't join these big chats because, and then I don't want to be caught up in whatever drama's happening between people in the chat. But knock yourselves out, have a good time, but just know that whatever you post in there, whatever you say in there is subject to trolls who got gifted memberships, people who bought memberships just to troll. They like to take screenshots. So, say whatever you want back there at your own risk. That is on you. Leave me out of it. But enjoy yourselves. Do what you want with it. As long as you know it's all at your own risk, and I don't want any responsibility for whatever the fuck's going on. So, wait, what?
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad. I think we got a super dad.
Todd, thank you so much. Netflix series Love on the Spectrum character named James reminds me of Grant yesterday. Okay, thank you, Todd. Appreciate it. And hold on, I got another one here. May sent a super sticker. Thank you so much, May. Appreciate you. Now the I mean, yeah, you guys can say whatever you want. I don't give a shit. Because my whole thing is I just don't when it comes to Grant, I just refuse to allow, you know what I mean? If he's responsible for himself and enough to be able to take care of himself, I mean, if he can muster up the means to write blogs and show up to court hearings and get a press pass to sit inside a court hearing and then take screenshots of Tim Bradle's laptop without permission and do all of the nasty things that he's been doing and push Tom down to the point to where he's even physically hurting people, whether it is on purpose or whether it is not on purpose. If he is going to be responsible for himself, then he is accountable for his actions, and I'm not going to allow autism to be the excuse for his shitty behavior. Standing on the court steps looking like an idiot, giving everybody the bird, following the McCabe's like they're rock stars. I thought it was ridiculous. So, but the chewing on his hand, I'm not going to be like, you see what I'm getting at? The him chewing on his hand is not going to get me to be like, oh, you know, I'm just not going to point that out. But when he's being a dickhead, yeah, that's a little different. And if he's not responsible for himself and he's out knocking people over deliberately, because I saw the stills, not just the video, but I saw the stills, and he's going to knock people over deliberately. Well, then, you know, if that's not his fault, then someone needs to be responsible for him and be making his everyday decisions for him, not himself. Period. Until then, he's responsible for his own actions. He's responsible for himself, and he is accountable for being a out of control dickhead. And that is just my 2 cents on that. But I'm just not going to pick on him for eating his hand, is all I'm saying. So now, oh, Malice in Wonderland's in here. Good to see you. Now the beyond that, Twitter was also fun because Plevin, it's like he's imploding. It's like he's imploding. And the more it happens, the more I like the guy. Is that weird? It's probably weird to you guys, but that's just how my brain works. The more that shit happens, the more I like the guy. It's just it's very funny to me. Because this is the internet, you know what I mean? I don't know the guy personally, so if he's entertaining me, I like the guy. I got nothing against the guy. He's not out doxing me and doing all kinds of nasty shit. He's just running his mouth and being stupid. That's fine, you know. I run my mouth up here and act stupid, so you know that's all good. So, we're going to talk a little bit about Plevin's review of the Karen Reed's court hearing yesterday. And before we do that, I want to refresh. Okay, we're going to be here a minute, folks. So I'm going to refresh. Let's go ahead and play the hearing one more time. It's pretty quick, and I'll play it in high speed so we're not sitting here for the entire 20 minutes. All right. So let's take a listen to this real quick, because I want us to have a fresh frame of reference when we listen to Plevin's analysis of it. Because listen, I haven't listened to it yet. This is why I like Plevin, because now he's become a as I like to call, a fountain of content. I can just watch the guy randomly and I could be like, bro, because now I know how his brain works. I can count on him saying something that is absolutely either disprovable or just completely stupid. So I like to do reaction videos, and this is what this will be. So let's refresh ourselves on the hearing real quick.
Afternoon. We are on the record on Commonwealth vs. Karen Reed on docket 22 CR 117. Beginning with the prosecution, may the parties introduce themselves?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Laura McLaughlin for the Commonwealth.
Good afternoon, Ms. McLaughlin.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Alan Jackson on behalf of Ms. Reed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jackson.
Maybe I will
Good
slow
afternoon,
this
Your
down.
Honor. Elizabeth Little.
Good
Also
afternoon.
on behalf of Ms. Reed.
This is a
Good
lot.
afternoon, Ms. Little.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. David United for Karen Reed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Yannetti. Good afternoon, Ms. Reed. Okay. Oh, all right. So here comes Mr. Lally. Were you expecting him, Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I'm sorry. I would not have started. All right. So, Mr. Lally, if you just say your name for FTR to
Yes.
get out.
Yeah, I mean, we see Aunt Bev being very disrespectful to Alan Jackson quite a bit in this hearing. But let's just be honest. I mean, she doesn't really seem to give a shit about anybody. I'm still not on the bandwagon of that she is taking sides with the Commonwealth necessarily. But at the same time, now I'm not saying that's not the case. I'm saying that I need straight up proof of that or more indication. Right now, I'm just seeing somebody who is just bad at this. Right now, that's all I'm seeing. I'm seeing somebody who's just bad at this. So I'm not quick to jump to the conclusion that she is, corrupt.
For the Commonwealth. Good
All
afternoon.
right. Good afternoon, Mr. Lally. Okay. So when we were all last in court on February 15th, there was obviously Mr. Lally, why don't you have a seat? A joint motion to continue the motion to dismiss and the motion for sanctions and disqualification and have those heard on March 12th. So at the time, as you all remember, I said it was premature. So now we are in receipt of your motion.
And I'm willing to entertain the possibility as well so far that if she actually is reprimanding verbally or being rude verbally more towards Alan Jackson in this hearing, it's simply because, I mean, when do we ever hear Lally actually state a case? He never does. The Commonwealth has yet to really actually state a case. So the defense is always up there talking. The defense is always up there saying, this is what's wrong here. They're the ones filing the majority of motions. They're the ones with the biggest concerns here, which is kind of weird. So it would make sense that the more that one party speaks, the more that the chances are a generally rude person is going to be rude to that person who's speaking the most, right?
To continue because of recent developments. So I'm also mindful, I did just this morning receive a letter from the Deputy U.S. Attorney, and she made it clear that the parties can make oral references to the contents and the materials and proceedings in this courtroom. But she also cautions that only is necessary to further the proceedings. So in light of that caution, I obviously have not seen and have no idea what these materials are. In light of that caution, what I'd like to that we can hear that motion to dismiss and motion for sanctions and disqualification.
Okay, let's break that down real quick, because that's another thing that I'm seeing all over Twitter. They're like, the argument is, well, she just said, you heard the judge say that they can say whatever they want about, they can express orally what they want for the sake of the proceeding, in the interest of the proceeding moving forward. But that wasn't her that actually said that. It came out of her mouth, but what she was doing was quoting the Deputy U.S. Attorney. The Deputy U.S. Attorney is saying, hey, well, we're not gonna lift the seal on it, but what we can do is we're cool with if you're moving forward with the proceeding today, well, then yes, orally you can do that, but you can't unseal the documents. You cannot make them public. But what you can do is you can absolutely discuss it in the interest of the hearing moving forward. The hearing is not moving forward today. So the judge did not okay. I want to repeat that. The judge did not okay for the arguments and the contents of this 3,000 page document. She did not allow for this to be discussed, or at least the contents of it. She said, it's clearly said, for the purposes of the hearing moving forward. She's already decided that this hearing is not going to move forward. She's saying, since I'm going to actually set dates, then no. So they're going to set dates moving forward, not actually proceed with this hearing. So right there, again, these people don't pay attention.
I'd like the parties to, it says you received the information from the U.S. Attorney's Office on February 21st, and I know you outline in your motion that it's very voluminous.
That's correct.
All right.
The evening of the 21st, we basically have had access to it starting on the 22nd until today.
Okay, so that's why I'm going to.
I just started,
until March
Jesse.
6th to file any
Jesse Sweaters,
supplemental
pretty
memo
much.
or motion on those 2 points, on the motion to dismiss and motion for sanctions.
Wait, what did she say real
the
quick?
defense motion, I'm going to give you until March 6th to file any supplemental memo or motion on those 2 points, on the motion to dismiss and motion for sanctions.
Okay.
So the defense
right
has until
there.
March 6th.
She's saying, because that is a week from tomorrow. Okay? That is a week from tomorrow. So right there, she's saying the motions to dismiss and the motions to sanction, that you have a week to write up anything supplemental. And you have to submit it in writing. Melanie Little actually explained this a lot better than I can today, but and I would recommend that you go and reference her live stream from yesterday if you did not watch it. And if you want a better understanding and you were there, but you weren't paying attention because you were interacting too much in chat, go back and listen to it again. She explained this a lot better than I could. But she's saying that is pretty much unreasonable. Melanie Little saying it's basically unreasonable to only give a week to provide any supplemental arguments regarding the motion to dismiss when they were asking for a continuance because they have that much discovery to go over, which they'll make this point here. She's saying you have a week from tomorrow. Clever, stop it. No. Go lay down, buddy. You have a week from Wednesday. Which it does not seem to be nearly enough time. I mean, we're talking 3,000 pages, more than 3,000 pages, more than I think he says 1.3 gigabytes of metadata to go over. And 1.3 gigabytes of metadata to go over. So that's the kind of document that you need to have a team working in shifts. And that's to do it in a reasonable time to set an argument for those motions based on the findings of this federal investigation, because that is why they are asking for this continuance. That is why they waived. That is why Karen Reed waived her right to a speedy trial.
To file any supplemental motions and memos on those two. The DA has until March 11th to respond. And on March 12th, we'll have a hearing on those motions.
Your Honor, if I may be heard.
I have more of a scheduling order and then I'll hear you.
I
Okay?
just want to be heard on scheduling before we move off that topic, so thank you.
Yep. No, this is all the dates that we're moving. You move to continue, and these are the dates
Yeah.
we're having.
He's like, I already have a problem with that date, with those dates. I already have a problem with that.
I'm going to say them again, Mr. Jackson. So on March 22nd, all motions in limine must be filed. On March 28th at 9 o'clock in the morning, we'll have a hearing on those motions in limine. On April 12th, there'll be a final trial conference at 9 a.m. And on April 16th, the jury trial will begin. So it's a 5-week continuance of this jury trial. So I'll hear you.
So the way that she's looking at it is she's looking at it like, well, you know, well, you have a 5-week continuance for the jury trial. So you have 5 weeks till this actually goes to trial. Yeah, but that doesn't change the fact that you only gave me 1 week to argue the case to be dismissed, which kind of implies, if you think about it, one could argue that she's implying that I want this to go to trial. Tell me that you want this to go to trial without telling me that you want this to go to trial, Aunt Bev. I mean, you know, because if we're talking about a very serious thing here, we're talking about a motion to sanction the district attorney's office. I've never even seen that covering these cases. Never seen that. So we're talking about sanctioning the district attorney of this county, and they're talking about dismissing the case. And if there's grounds to dismiss this case, they have to be able to put together something that is airtight. And you can't rush something like that and do it effectively. We're talking, it has to be airtight. Now the burden of proof is on them. This is the only situation so far in this case where the burden of proof is on the defense. The burden of proof is on the defense because the defense is accusing the prosecution, or at least the DA's office, of corruption, of misconduct. Maybe not corruption, but misconduct. So, I mean, if you want me to effectively prove this, and which is a right that my client has, if my client has the right to due process, well, then my client has a right to have some time to be able to prove that this prosecution has engaged in misconduct.
I appreciate that, Your Honor. Thank you for hearing me on the issue of scheduling. I just want to bring to the court's attention a couple of things. I appreciate the court accommodating us in terms of the motion to dismiss today. I was prepared to argue the motion to continue on that issue, unprepared to argue substantively the motion to dismiss.
We're not.
I understand that, but for the following reason. We received 3,074 pages, 1.3 gigabytes of data. We've only had a chance to go through a smattering of that data so far, right? Okay. So a couple of transcripts, we've reviewed and looked at or put our eyeballs on the files, but not the substantive data contained within those files. And I would dare say that the Commonwealth is in the exact same position. There has been an additional TUI request by the Commonwealth that the court is probably not aware of. That came in on Friday. Ms. McLaughlin asked...
See, the Commonwealth's not going to want that extension. The Commonwealth wants this to go to trial. So the Commonwealth isn't going to want this extension of time to be able, for the defense to be able to review. Why would the Commonwealth want the extension of time for the defense to be able to prove misconduct on their end? Right? So Commonwealth is pretty much just like, whatever. We don't give a shit. Buzzing for Truth, member for 2 months, right on. Thank you. Just the cost of the attorney fees are crazy. Yeah, absolutely. And attorney Melanie Little made that point yesterday. Agreed. I mean, all that time costs money. That's all coming out of Karen Reed's pocket. All that time where they're cramming for hours and hours and hours is coming out of Karen Reed's pocket. Like, if she's waiving her right to a speedy trial, if she's waiving her right to a speedy trial, well, it's fascinating because she's willing to. She's willing to wait. She's willing to pay the money, do whatever you got to do, because I'm being railroaded here. It's clear that I'm being railroaded here. So I need you guys to do whatever you got to do and take whatever time you need to get this done.
The U.S. Attorney's Office, pursuant to TUI, which is exactly the same protocol that we utilized to get these almost 3,100 pages of data. And so we're expecting that to be heard at some point through the U.S. Attorney's system. In other words, they're going to have to go to the magistrate, deal with the TUI system the same way that it took place here. And that takes not days, but weeks, I expect. We also haven't finished the Bodhi protocol, which is the state's protocol with the crime lab that you're well aware of. I say that to say, through 2 years of litigation with the Commonwealth, just about 2 years of litigation, we've received a little over 3,200 pages of data. In one day, the defense was given 3,100 pages of data, and none of it appears to be duplicative. All of it is brand new, and all of it, Your Honor, appears to us to be exculpatory.
Okay. The defense just said that they received 3,100 pages of data. 3,100 pages of data, and all of it is brand new to them. That's what they're saying. All of it is brand new to them. And all of it seems exculpatory for their client. And another argument is, well, then, okay, why don't they, if it all seems like it's exculpatory, why don't they just present it now? Well, because the judge isn't hearing it now. That's why. The judge isn't hearing it now. And on top of that, even though the judge isn't hearing it now, they don't want to present it yet because they haven't put together their case. They don't just wing it. They don't do what I do and just come up here and talk. They don't do that. They have to put together and prepare. First, we're going to go with this. Everything is strategized. Hellfish Haven, member for 2 months. Feds have done more work than the Commonwealth. Yeah, clearly. Now, we don't know what this stuff says. We're not saying, I don't know if they investigated the actual investigation so much. I don't know what they looked into. I don't know if they interviewed Proctor, Tully, Buchnick. I don't know. I don't know what that stuff says. But was that a super chat or it was a membership. Okay. Sure, you confused me. But yeah, welcome, Hellfish Haven. Thank you. Yeah, so it's clear that these people don't understand how court works and how due process works. Now the burden of proof is now on the defense on this one issue. And they need time to prepare, and they have to present their case. It's the same thing with any investigation. It's the same thing with the federal investigation, which we'll get into some of the other stuff that people are saying, which is really funny.
The schedule that the court has suggested, although I'm mindful of moving this along, I can't do it in violation of my client's due process rights. I can tell the court there is no possible way that we'll be ready for, just to grab my notes, there will be no possible way that we could have all of our motions written on this issue alone, just the motion to dismiss by March 6th. That's
So
just too big.
what I need you to do is put in writing why.
Sure.
All
Sure.
right.
I can tell.
I am very mindful though where the U.S.
Why does she have to see? That's what I don't understand is why does he have to put that in writing? Why? So you want, okay, let me get this straight. So you've given this guy just over a week to present this case. He just explained to you why. He just explained leading up to his closing statement, to his argument right there, was there is no possible way that by March 6th I'll be able to present this case without the violation of my client's right to due process. There's no way that I can present this case of having this case dismissed within a week. There's just no way. It can't be done. And it's because there's 3,100 pages and it's all brand new. And my client has the right for her legal team to go over everything in there and assess everything in there and use whatever is in there to make our case against the Commonwealth in order to dismiss this case against my client. This is the only way. There's no way. I need more time. And then she says, I need you to put it in writing. Why? Why? Why does it have to be put in writing? And I think he already did that when he asked for a continuance, more or less, right? But now that there's this factor of, I mean, they asked for the continuance before, and the Commonwealth, it was a joint motion between the Commonwealth and the defense. It was a joint motion. She wants it in writing for the record in case of appeal, Cherry, member for 2 months. Okay, fine. But it was a joint motion already. My point is that this was already basically filed and the Commonwealth agreed to it. And then she went ahead with the hearing anyway. That wasn't even this hearing. It was the hearing before this that she went ahead with. Because we thought for sure, well, since, I mean, she never ruled on it. So I guess it's moving forward. And this was the day before the hearing. Everybody was like, wait a minute, the hearing's still moving forward. I thought the Commonwealth even agreed that it was okay to push this back a little bit. But then oh man, this is just frustrating.
The U.S. Attorney says we expect, of course, that the parties will disclose orally the materials in court only as necessary to further the proceedings. So put something in writing, get it to me by this time next week as to why you cannot be ready specifically.
But here's the thing about that. The reason why I would argue with putting it in writing and that being a thing, he's expressing it right here. He's doing it in open court. There's a stenographer right there. How is this not just as much on the record? Now, I'm not an attorney. I don't know. But how is this not just as much on the record as any court filing? I mean, this is all on the record.
But I'd urge you to use that time getting ready. All right?
You see what I'm saying there? I need you to put that in writing. If you want me to even hear this argument, you have to put that in writing. But I would urge you to use that time to make your case, and you still have a week. Which indicates to Jackson, if I'm Jackson, I'm going to think, Well, and if I'm Yannetti sitting there, if I'm even Karen Reed sitting there, I'm going to think, well, she really wants this to go to trial. Why wouldn't I think that? Why wouldn't I think that? She really wants this to go to trial for some reason. This is really weird. Because, I mean, I would urge you to use that time to get to be ready. I want you to put this in writing, but I'm kind of telling you without telling you that I'm not going to approve it. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to approve the motion, and we're moving forward whether you like it or not. That's the underlying language here. How am I not supposed to think that?
I had just a moment to confer with
Yes.
counsel.
I mean, what's up, Olivia?
Your Honor, thank you for accommodating that quick chat. I want to make sure that the court understands that in addition to, and that's what Mr. Yannetti was just urging me to bring to the court's attention, I don't want to speak for him, he can speak for himself. There is a motion to disqualify, which is also robust in scope and terms. He's going to be arguing that. That is yet to be on calendar, and he just indicated to me he does not believe there's any way that he could be ready on this briefing schedule for this kind of influx and incorporation of this level of data.
So
there's
you
going to
can
be.
put that in writing as well, Mr. Yannetti.
That's fine. I just want to put a sort of a precursor to the court. We expect additional rules based on what we've got so far, and I'm happy to describe a sampling of it if the court wishes. But based on what we've gotten so far over the last 48 business hours or so, there's going to be additional Rule 17 motions, significant additional Rule 17 motions. There's going to be additional Rule 14 motions. We're going to have to supplement the motion for disqualification that Mr. Yannetti just alluded to. We're going to need to supplement the motion to dismiss, which I'm alluding to. We will be filing a motion for extraordinary governmental misconduct based on certain evidence that we just received. And all of this has to predate any reasonable effort that we have to prepare for.
Now, I have to point this out. Watch Karen Reed as soon as he says governmental misconduct. Watch her face. Watch Karen Reed's face.
Misconduct based on certain evidence that we just received. We will
One more
be
time.
filing a motion for extraordinary governmental misconduct based on certain evidence.
She loves that shit. She loves that shit. And I don't fucking blame her. I don't blame her. That is the look of somebody who feels, because as I understand it, now I don't know Karen Reed, but as I understand it, she's a very intelligent person. And that is the look of somebody who is rumored to be very intelligent, but is clearly, obviously someone who is absolutely tickled by this, because I would assume that she happens to know exactly what grounds they are going to have the charges dismissed and the charges for misconduct filed against the prosecution, the governmental misconduct. I find this fascinating because Karen Reed smiled. She giggled. She got super tickled over that. And I would assume that she knows something. She's seen the proof. That's just a guess. I don't know what she's seen. I don't know what the case is, but
predate any reasonable effort that we have to prepare for trial. So my suggestion, and we'll put it all in writing as the court suggested, but I can tell the court that based on what I know, and I know that the court is operating a little bit in the blind because you don't know what we know, what we have. An April 16 jury trial date is probably not realistic, but I will put all of that, as the court has directed me to. We'll put all of that in writing, and we will suggest what we think is a reasonable trial schedule and briefing schedule based on what we've just received.
Okay.
See, all Aunt Bev sees right now is, all she's seeing right now is there's a shit ton of people outside my courtroom right now making a shit ton of noise. There's people in my courtroom right now that at any given moment can start making a shit ton of noise because this case has become a fucking circus and it's making my job harder. That's how Aunt Bev is looking at all this. She's looking at it like, I'm already exhausted and I want this over with. I want it done. And this has been going on for 2 years and it's 2 years too long for me. And I get it. But that's not an excuse to just throw due process out the window and the right to due process for the defendant right out the window. That's not an excuse. The fact is that if they have proof and they're claiming to have proof, then ethically the judge has to hear it. If they have proof that there is governmental misconduct and that Karen Reed's rights are absolutely being violated, it is her duty as a civil servant and an officer of the court, her position being a judge in the court, it is her ethical duty to hear these accusations and give the opportunity of proof. So provide the defense the opportunity of proving it. So Buzzing with Truth, thank you so much. They are going to put on a groundbreaking show. I mean, the whole point is they don't want this to go to trial. A lot of people want this to go to trial because they're like, you know, there's some people who want this to go to trial because they're like, I want to hear both sides. I'm not hearing both sides yet. But the thing is, you have to also remember that the prosecution has just as much of a right to speak on these matters and speak against, defend themselves against these charges that the defense are presenting to the court. They have a right to speak up, and yet they don't even bother. They can speak. Lolly can stand up there and speak, but he never does. He never does unless he's put on the spot to.
So I need that by next Monday at the latest, okay? This will go fine.
A week from today, yes.
If I may, the Commonwealth has had the opportunity to go through all the discovery that's been provided. It is voluminous. It is, there's a lot of material there. However, the Commonwealth would dispute counsel's representation that the material is new information. I would say approximately 90% to 95% of the material that we received is consistent with the Commonwealth's theory of the case and the testimony that went to the grand jury of witnesses' statements. There is some new information.
Okay. Now, she just said the opposite of what Alan Jackson just said. Somebody's fucking lying. So Alan Jackson's saying that it's all brand new. And it's exculpatory. And the Commonwealth, this assistant district attorney here, she's or whatever her position is, she's saying, well, no, it's all consistent with the witness testimonies in the grand jury, the witness grand jury testimonies. It's all consistent with that. And she says that they've had a chance to go over it all, which is kind of a jab too. Like if you think about it, it's very slick. It's a little chess move because she's planning in Aunt Bev's mind right there that they have plenty of time to go over this stuff. She's like, well, we went over it all. We already went over it. What do you mean? We already went over all of it. And we're telling you that it's not what the defense is saying. So he's like 3,100 pages. Oh my God. And she's like 3,100 pages. We already went through it. We're good. We're good to go. Okay. I mean, I bet they have this advantage. I mean, they would if they're failing to share discovery. And I'm talking like pathologically, they seem to fail to share discovery with the defense in this case over the last 2 years. Why wouldn't they be confident moving forward? I mean, dude, that is exactly what railroading is, folks.
Information that counsel will use in their motion, and the Commonwealth understands that. However, I would say the evidence as a whole is very consistent with prior statements made by witnesses that testified for the Commonwealth. Thank you.
All right. All right. So put it in an affidavit by next Monday, but these days, as of now, these are our dates. Okay.
I want to make sure I got the dates, all the dates that the court indicated. March 6th for the motion to dismiss.
To file any supplemental memos on the motion to dismiss and the motion for sanctions, disqualification of the district attorney's office.
The next date, March 22, for motions, all motions in limine.
Yes, for filing.
Wendy Williams, thank you so much. She's saying that because she doesn't want defense to get the chance to go through it. Oh, for sure. No, that's what I'm saying. I agree with you. And thank you, Wendy Williams. I absolutely agree with you. What she's doing is it looks unprofessional if she goes, they have plenty of time. Oh, come on, judge. That's what you see in the movies. But it looks unprofessional in real life, in real court, because again, to the person standing up there for the prosecution, the Yannetti and Jackson are her brothers in the law. Her brothers in the law. So it looks unprofessional if she goes, dude, whatever. We already went through it and they have plenty of time. She can't say that. She could just say, well, we already went through it, which indicates to Aunt Bev that they have plenty of time. That's a very, very slick way of arguing against them getting an extension in these dates.
Filing all motions.
March 28th for hearing on all motions in limine. April 12th.
Later, Benjamin John. Hope it goes well.
Conference at 9 a.m.
Yes.
And April 16th for jury trial.
Yes. Okay.
Your Honor, if I may, I may not have heard. The March 12th date, was that 9 a.m. or 2 p.m.?
March 12th, we can go at 9 o'clock and we can take all day. So, all right.
Your Honor, what are the dates for the Rule 17s that we anticipate filing, which we expect are going to be voluminous?
Why don't we do those on March 12th as well?
Okay, Your Honor, we have the calendar that the court has suggested, and we'll file our papers by Monday.
Great. We'll see you on the 12th. Thank you.
All right.
Want a short recess?
All right. Now what I want to do is go over Court TV's segment from yesterday. And I haven't watched this yet, so let's check that out real quick.
May I have just a moment to confer with
Yes.
counsel?
Microdots is here. What's up, Microdots?
It looks like they are taking a bit of a sidebar type break. Matt, she looked pretty animated today talking with her attorney. She was smiling. How has she seemed to you in the times that you've been in the courtroom?
Very stoic. And it seems like she really appreciates all the supporters.
Your Honor, thank you for accommodating.
Here we go.
That quick chat. I want to make sure that the court understands that in addition to, and that's what Mr. Yannetti was just urging me to bring to the court's attention. I don't want to speak for him. He can speak for himself. There is a motion to disqualify.
That's actually a really good point too. That's a possibility. I mean, again, that would be unethical on her part. That's not something that she would ever admit. But Patty Murphy is saying, Will, in my opinion, the judge wants this case to go to trial for the publicity of her on TV more and being part of a landmark case. Sure, that's not unreasonable that's not an unreasonable theory. I mean, I don't know how it works in Massachusetts, but a lot of judges are elected, or at least have political ambitions. So being the judge in such a high profile trial is, especially one like this that's so fucked up, that's just good publicity. Bad publicity, any publicity is good publicity. So okay, so she's appointed, but it doesn't matter. So even still, if she has political ambitions, if she has designs on a political career beyond being a judge, well, being the judge on such a high-profile case and getting all that television exposure is a good look. I saw that before, Jim Rockford. And Jim Rockford, I got to tell you, man. My bad. Sorry about that. I got to tell you, Jim Rockford, that you win handle of the day. Absolutely. Rockford Files is the greatest theme song ever on television. I mean, it's dope. It's fantastic. If I didn't get a ding for playing it, I would totally play it. Now, hold on a second. Let me get back to this.
Which is also robust in its scope and terms. He's going to be arguing that is yet to be on calendar, and he just indicated to me he does not believe there's any way that he could be ready on this briefing schedule for this kind of influx and incorporation of this level of data.
So there's going to be put that in writing as well, Mr. Yannetti.
That's fine. I just want to put a sort of a precursor to the court. We expect additional rules based on what we've got so far, and I'm happy to describe.
Okay, arguably the greatest theme song ever.
A sampling of it, if the court wishes. But based on what we've gotten so far over the last 48 business hours or so, there's going to be additional Rule 17 motions, significant additional Rule 17 motions. There's going to be additional Rule 14 motions. We're going to have to supplement the motion for disqualification that Mr. Yannetti just alluded to. We're going to need to supplement the motion to dismiss, which I'm alluding to. We will be filing a motion for extraordinary governmental misconduct based on certain evidence that we just received. And all of this has to predate any reasonable effort that we have to prepare for trial. So my suggestion, and we'll put it all in writing as the court suggested, but I can tell the court that based on what I know, and I know that the court is operating a little bit in the blind because you don't know what we know, what we have. An April 16 jury trial date is probably not realistic, but I will put all of that, as the court has directed me to. We'll put all of that in writing, and we will suggest what we think is a reasonable trial schedule and briefing schedule based on what we've just received.
Okay, so I need that by next Monday at the latest, okay? Mr. Golfin.
A week from today, yes.
Sure, if I may, the Commonwealth has had the opportunity to go through all the discovery that's been provided. It is voluminous. It is, there's a lot of material there. However, the Commonwealth would dispute counsel's representation that the material that counsel will
Blah,
use.
blah, blah. We already know this.
Motions.
All right, that's
April
not what I wanted to
12th,
see. Hold on. That's not what I wanted to see. Hold on a second. I wanted to see the commentary. Are they like... Yeah, no, that's just the highlights there. So hold on. Let me... Oh, I guess it's not like available yet. Because I thought there was going to be like commentary from Court TV on that, but apparently there's not. So let me see if there's something like in the no, yeah, this is the same thing. Okay, so I guess it's not available, the Court TV stuff. So I guess we'll just get right to the Plevin stuff.
Apparently, the state has revealed that. Oh, I want to put on my TikTok live too. The state has revealed that cocktail pieces were found embedded under Karen's SUV. So people will naturally, and rightly want to question all this material, and that's what a trial is for. Everything will be questioned, but that's a pretty powerful piece of evidence there, along with DNA from John that was found there. So an interesting thing.
Okay,
now,
that's
I owned
another
a bar
thing.
In 2000.
People are talking about John's DNA being on on Karen's trunk. He's her boyfriend. I mean, I could think of 100 scenarios where John O'Keefe's DNA would get anywhere on her vehicle at any given moment. Specifically, the bumper of her car. Like maybe they went grocery shopping together. Maybe he was putting groceries in the trunk of the car. Maybe maybe he was looking at anything on the bumper. Maybe, I mean, there's all kinds of scenarios that could explain why John O'Keefe's DNA was on his girlfriend's car. That's not proof. It would be weird if his DNA wasn't found on her car, especially since he was in the car the night of question. The night in question, he was in her car. So, I mean, why is it suspicious, or even, especially, why is it damning in some way to Karen Reed that John O'Keefe's DNA was found on her car? Makes no sense. That's right. Maybe he changed the tail light. Who knows?
2001 when we had 9/11. And at the time, there was mostly a lot of unity. We had a lot of college kids that came in the bar, but a lot of regulars.
Oh my God.
And can I turn on CC? I'm not sure what CC is. You mean the closed circuit on the court? Joe was asking about turn on CC. I'm not sure what CC is. We'll stream the hearing as soon as it.
Now, holla. Anyway, DNA as in touch DNA, or is it DNA like blood? I would assume that they would have specified blood DNA in that motion, in the opposition motion that the prosecution filed. So I'm going to assume it's touch DNA, because it's a hell of a lot more damning to say that it was blood. Yet they failed to say that, didn't they?
It becomes as soon as it comes on. So, anyways, Caitlin, today is a hearing. Today is the last pre-trial hearing of, barring some changes, unless they schedule something else. This will be the last pre-trial closed caption. Oh, a closed caption. I don't know how do.
So I guess I was live while he was live. Doing this one.
All right. If I have a chance during the stream, I will try to figure out how to turn on closed captions. I've never done that before on this. So for those of you that can't hear, I apologize. If there's an easy way to do it, I will do it. Let's see.
Settings. There you go. Wait. But look,
all right.
Settings.
So we'll come back to that, guys. I apologize. That's the first time anybody's requested it, and
CC,
I didn't, so I don't know how to do it.
Closed captions,
You
unavailable.
might be able to. I'm looking at settings, and there's no option there for it. But if you're watching this on YouTube, I don't know. You can get closed captions on YouTube. I'm not,
bro. It says CC right there, bro. Right there. And if they're available, they're available. If they're not, it'll say that it's unavailable.
sure how good they are or how current they are about something like this. So when the stream begins, I will explore better the closed captions. And so let's just say hi to the people that are here that are participating in chat. Tom, as usual, hi, thanks for being here. Lori, hi, Ashley, KC, Judy, of course, Caitlin, good to see you as always. Kathy Chapin's been here a lot lately, thank you. Kristen, thank you. Patrice, the bartender, is working. I'm not sure if he's talking about.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. Like, part of the reason, one of the biggest reasons why I do these Plevin streams now is because of you guys in the chat. You guys are fucking hilarious.
Himself, I hope so. I bartended many years, so I'm with you in spirit. And Joe was the one looking for CC, and I'm sorry. I will have to look into that after. Machine Gun, thank you for filling my old ass in on what that is. Thank you too, Steve. Fire Pit Fun. And Larry says you can't do that live. So I'll have to, I don't know. I'll have to look into it. I'm not sure if there's a way to do it. And Will Bowers, thank you. If anyone has Chrome, you can ask for. I'm actually not on Chrome. I'm using the Edge browser.
Dude, Jesus
so
Christ,
I will look into this
bro. Come
during
on.
the stream, and then I'll try to look into it after. Will Scott, hi. All right, so anyway.
Can you imagine me streaming that fucking hearing yesterday? And and having to tell the 3,000 people watching, just going through this with 3,000 people watching, I'd have been like, there's no closed captions. Sorry.
Anyways, back to so I owned a bar during 9/11, and about 6-7 years later, I'm not sure.
Corruption is strong with Boston.
Things had changed.
That's
People's
the word.
understanding of the
You're
case, really because of the conspiracy theory. So I remember one night I was standing at the bar, behind the bar, and there was maybe about 15 people at the bar that were all people in their 20s, some college kids, but probably mostly people in their middle 20s, some in the late 20s. And I asked them, which of you guys believe that 9/11 was a conspiracy? And the reason I asked was because at the time, that was when the big movie that came out.
Oh, at no point during 9/11, like when it was happening, I remember I went to work that night. I'll give you guys the quick story of my experience in 9/11. I had a small son. He was a year old at the time, just turned a year old, maybe a month before that. And I had him for the day because daycare is really expensive. I was already split up with my ex, with his mom, and I worked evenings and she worked days. So it made sense that I would take him during the day and watch him while she worked. She would come home from work, pick him up. I would leave for work. It was actually a very convenient system. A little inconvenient because, you know, I like to sleep before I go to work. That wasn't happening. But now, the only thing at his age at the time that on TV that could get him to sit still and watch was Elmo. That's it. The rest of Sesame Street, no. The rest of Sesame Street, he was running around because he was a toddler and he had just learned how to walk, and he was running around all over. And I'm, hey, nope, I don't want to say his name here. Nope. And but Elmo would come on and he would just sit and glue himself in front of the TV because he just loved Elmo. And then as soon as Elmo was over, I start channel surfing, and then I see every station saying America Under Attack, so on and so forth. America Under Attack, Twin Towers, Pentagon, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my God. And I was scared out of my mind. I grabbed him, I held him, because you see on TV on every channel, America Under Attack. You don't know where it's happening exactly until you sit and watch it for a minute, at least. You know, I mean, your instinct is to grab your child and hold them, you know. So I sat there with him. I held him. Luckily, he was too young to really understand the horror of it all. And once I got an understanding of it, we just went about our day. And then I went to work, and we were all talking about it at work. Nobody at work was talking about conspiracy theories. Nobody at my job was talking about conspiracy theories. Nobody. Everyone was just talking about how terrible it was. Everyone was just talking about, wow, like, I hope we're going to be okay. I wonder what we're going to do. Are we going to retaliate? Things of that nature. But at no point, and I wasn't a George Bush fan at the time. I was not a George W. fan at the time at all. But at no point did it cross my mind that it was a conspiracy. I never felt more patriotic than I did that day. Never in my life had I felt more patriotic prior to that. So I wasn't sitting there talking about conspiracy theories. I was concerned about the well-being of our nation. So I just find that really, really interesting that Homeboy was like, hey, let's just start talking about conspiracy theories. That was the level of intelligence going on when he had control of the conversation.
Came out that we now know is kind of a fraud. The people that put that movie out, that I can't remember the name, but maybe one of you guys remember in chat, but it was a big conspiracy movie, and the people that put it out didn't even believe in the conspiracy. They just put this thing together as a project, and it took off, and it got millions of views, and it influenced a lot of people. Well, so this really got the conspiracy theories going. Obviously, even in 2004, Hillary herself was holding up a headline saying, what did Bush know, and stuff like that. So a lot of people were selling and trying to exploit the idea of a conspiracy theory. And so when I had them raise their hands, to my shock, I think it was like 14 or 15 people believed in the conspiracy. All of that really came from social media.
I'm not gonna lie, man. This shit is funny. I can just imagine you probably had a lot of people passed out on the bar.
All of it, which is extraordinary to me.
From boredom.
Listen, and I'm not someone that says that no conspiracies are real. There are real conspiracies, but most of them are not real. And the bigger something, the more people it has to...
See what I mean? Like, he's just generalizing. Like, that's just so ignorant. It's so ignorant to like lump this up with like Bigfoot, you know, or a possible 9/11 conspiracy. Like, you're talking about shit that's just not really realistic, you know? It's insane. You know, like we're talking about a county, a district attorney's office, where if there is corruption in a district attorney's office, well, that would require a conspiracy, wouldn't it? If the district attorney of Norfolk County is corrupt and using his position as district attorney for any other purpose than to get justice for its citizens, then that would require a conspiracy. That would require more than one person. That would require people conspiring to get things done, people conspiring to keep things quiet, people conspiring to keep things in-house. It's not unrealistic at all. If one man who is in a pretty high position of power is corrupt, it would require, for them to do so successfully, a conspiracy. So it's not unrealistic. It's not an alien cover-up. Okay?
That have to keep quiet to be involved in a conspiracy, the less likely it is to be true. But we have to be aware of how much part of our minds wants to believe in a conspiracy. And that's just...
It's not. The only people, if I'm thinking that there's a conspiracy here, the only people that I'm thinking that are involved in this conspiracy so far, what I believe, until more evidence comes out, what I believe so far, as far as the people involved in this so-called conspiracy, would be the people in 34 Fairview that night, which aren't that many. The people in 34 Fairview that night, the lead investigators in the case, and the Norfolk County DA's office. I mean, well, the Norfolk County DA, Michael Morrissey, Tully, and the people at 34 Fairview, and the other investigators who Tully rubs elbows with and works with. That's who I would consider would be, who I would speculate would be part of this conspiracy. It's not that many people. And of course, to have a successful conspiracy, the less people, the better, because it's less chances of somebody talking.
It's human nature. Okay, it's juicy, it's more interesting. But in these things like this, if we want to believe in a conspiracy that, for instance, we didn't go to the moon, it's pretty harmless. JFK, this stuff is all harmless now. But if you're going to believe conspiracies in a murder case that's current, and the conspiracy theory requires us to point the finger at other people, I mean, you got to be careful about stuff like that, because you're potentially ruining the lives of innocent people. And we have to be able to look in I'm sure a lot of the people that believe in this particular conspiracy.
See, I love that, because we keep hearing that. Ruining the lives of innocent people. Yet there's absolutely no solid evidence that Karen Read is guilty. Not one shred of actual solid evidence. Nothing that the defense can't absolutely poke holes through. And if it's solid, you can't poke holes through it. You just can't. That's what beyond a reasonable doubt means. So here you are talking about innocent people, and yet Karen Read has absolutely no solid evidence that can be proven, that no solid evidence that proves her guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. There is none of this that exists, at least not to our knowledge. There's none of this that exists. But you're sitting here claiming how wrong it is to accuse somebody of a crime who's potentially innocent. Because I'm gonna go with the people who are proven to be liars. That's who I'm gonna feel comfortable pointing fingers at. The people who have been proven to be liars. And that starts with District Attorney Morrissey, because District Attorney Morrissey stood up on TV in front of the world and said a bunch of lies, spewed out a bunch of lies. So, I mean, I don't understand why. Well, that's not gaslighting technically, Nick. That's projection. It's projection.
Conspiracy here, and maybe we'll find out today, right? But they're not stupid people. They're intelligent people, but there's some part of them that wants to believe in something like this. And so they start closing their minds to actual evidence or logic. And that's a dangerous thing. And we need to learn how to stop doing that. All right. Some other interesting.
Dude, are you serious right now? Are you serious right now?
What the fuck? Thing. So some questions that maybe people haven't asked before. Looking at the witness intimidation that went on this summer, which it's not reasonable to say that it wasn't witness intimidation. What went on, whatever you believe about the case, was without doubt witness intimidation.
Okay. It's absolutely reasonable to say that it was not witness intimidation. It's absolutely reasonable to say that. Because these people claim to not be witnesses. Because there were 9 people that were charged. 9 people that were charged with witness intimidation for standing outside of D&E Pizza, across the street, by the way, under the same law that Turtle Boy was charged with. And I mean, isn't Chris Albert not a witness? Doesn't he claim to not be a witness? Didn't Jennifer McCabe file motions to be excluded from being subpoenaed, to not have to sit on the stand and testify? Did she or did she not do that? Am I crazy? And I mean, if Jennifer McCabe is so sure of Karen Reed's guilt, and we're not even going to get into the stuff that she's allegedly involved with the Turtle Boy stuff. I'm just waiting for the proof of that before I have my field day. But I don't think that Turtle Boy would make these claims without being able to prove it. So I'm just waiting for that. But when it happens, trust me, I'm going to be talking about it. I mean, I can't say that he's a paid shill, because I feel like they'd have to get somebody better at this. You know, can you get a better shill than him? Can you do that? Like, if get something worth your money, you know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine them spending money on this guy being the voice to represent them and put out this logic, because it's ridiculous. If Jennifer McCabe honestly believes that Karen Reed is guilty of this crime, then why isn't Jennifer McCabe willing to sit on the stand and testify? She has no loyalty to Karen Reed. Her loyalty is to John O'Keefe. They were friends. She was the one that John O'Keefe was communicating with all night. She was the one that John O'Keefe had play dates between their children together. Why wouldn't she want to sit up there and get justice for her friend? Why wouldn't she want to do her part to get justice for her friend? How is it not incredibly telling that she did not want to testify? Because what? She's what, afraid of Turtle Boy? That's stupid. That's insane. Because the main and really the only reason that that's really insane, besides Besides the obvious that Turtle Boy is not a violent person and there's no proof that he's a violent person. Besides that, well, Turtle Boy is, if he's intimidating anyone, it would be to get them to testify. So let me get this straight. He's intimidating a witness who is trying to fight the court and convince them that she's not a witness. But yet he's intimidating her, right? I mean, I don't understand. So let me get this straight. He's intimidating Jen McCabe to tell the truth. And the one place where it would matter for her to tell the truth would be on the stand during Karen Reed's trial, which she filed a motion to not have to do. But intimidate her to do to intimidate her to do exactly what the Commonwealth wants her to do. And yet the Commonwealth is charging Turtle Boy with witness intimidation. Okay. And that's just forgetting the 5 fucking live streams where I went over every single one of his charges that justify these charges or allegedly justify these charges, in their mind justify these charges. We went over every single one of them and saw that they were bullshit. So besides all that, right?
It was designed to get witnesses to either change their story or stop testifying. Well, an interesting question that I hadn't thought of until today, and I didn't think of it. It was talking to a retired senior investigator. Why weren't the feds protecting their witnesses? So they started calling witnesses to a federal grand jury in April. And the attacks started in April. Vicious attacks at business owners and at
who aren't witnesses,
at young people, at anybody that was in the house or were potentially connected to this case. These were all witnesses in a case. Where were the feds trying to protect these people? It's just another really troubling.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Yeah, I got to cut you off there, Kev. So why weren't the feds protecting their witnesses? Maybe because the feds know that law applied to charge Turtle Boy with witness intimidation is a bullshit law designed to violate people's First Amendment rights. Maybe it's because the feds, each federal agent, every federal agent and every federal branch of investigations, every single agent took an oath to protect everyone's constitutional rights. So maybe they know that it would be a violation of Turtle Boy's constitutional rights. I mean, that makes sense to me. So, yeah, why weren't they protecting their witnesses? Well, probably because the feds didn't see them as being attacked viciously, as you put it. Maybe the feds see that this is an abuse of power.
And I talked to someone in the know about this, and they said, yeah, in a normal case, they would absolutely be out there and would be trying to help them in a situation like this. There are limits to what you can do, right? But one thing the agents would be sent out to have a little talk to with the people that were doing the intimidating. There's no evidence that any of this has ever happened. There's no evidence that the feds have ever done anything. My understanding is that there were witnesses that went in and spoke to Josh Levy. They didn't get any help. And that's as far as we can talk about it, but they didn't get any help. So just from so many different levels, what is now the U.S. Attorney Josh Lovell has an awful lot to account for. Now, these are very vain guys. This isn't a guy with an elite education.
I need you, Plevin, to pick an avenue here, buddy. I need you to pick a street. Okay? Is it the feds don't have anything on there's nothing in their findings that their case is moot, that they investigated? There's nothing in the 3,100 page document that is damning to the district attorney's office? Are you going down that avenue, or are you going down the feds are corrupt? Which one are you going through? I mean, I don't know. I mean, you got to pick one, dude. Feds have nothing avenue, or feds are corrupt drive. Pick one. I mean, dude, this is why people don't take you seriously. This is why people don't take you seriously.
And if he got duped into doing something wrong, or he's made a mistake.
Because this is what we call throwing shit at the wall and hoping that it sticks, which is what you would do when you have no logical argument, when you have no basis to go with the theories that you have and the opinion that you have. When you've made the decision that Karen Read is guilty, you don't just start throwing shit at the wall and hoping that it sticks. You go with one theory, you stick to it, and you push that theory if you're going to be so loud about it.
My question to Josh is, do you have a conscience? Do you have any sense that maybe you've done something that was improper here? And I believe that we all have done things in our lives that we regret, or things that were made mistakes or were wrong. Your chance is to come clean. But if you don't come clean, you've more than compounded the mistake that you made in the past. Because at this,
I don't know. I'd have to ask Cherry, but I think pineapple juice it works for that. Drinking lots of pineapple juice. But I don't know. You got to ask Cherry.
Point is pretty clear that much of his behavior was extremely irregular and really very improper. And we only know part of the story, right? But we know enough to know that what he was doing was extremely improper. And this is just one other aspect of it. Why weren't you protecting the witnesses? Why did you take any action to protect the witnesses? All indications are no, they didn't. So another interesting thing about the feds, why didn't they ever call Karen?
The answer is no, testify? You didn't.
Right?
Y'all remember Meet the Parents? Robert De Niro. Can you trust another human being? The answer is no, Greg. You cannot. It's like, based on what? What do you mean? What? Like, that was considered comedy because it's a ridiculous statement. That's why we're laughing at you right now, Plevin. The answer is no.
Right? In a case like this, you would call Karen, said to be the innocent person. Why wasn't she called to come up and explain why she was innocent before a federal grand jury? She wasn't, right? So it's extremely interesting. It's not normal. It's not how you would expect things to go in a conspiracy case, right? Now, Lucky, why wasn't he called to testify? He actually was subpoenaed, but he had his testimony canceled. It's hard to imagine any scenario in which some part of the government, in this case,
that's not suspicious. I mean, I'd have to know the grounds of which Lucky wasn't going to testify. I'd have to know. Because I would argue 2 points, 2 theories, right? Why wouldn't Lucky testify in front of the grand jury? And why was his testimony in front of the grand jury canceled? Well, I'd say that one theory would be that he was scared to testify. Or another theory would be that the prosecution didn't want him to testify because it doesn't help their case. And they pulled whatever strings necessary to not have him testify. So, I mean, why would this guy want these kind of complications in his life? Especially if he learns that he's really the only witness as far as somebody who saw something that could exonerate Karen Reed. And it sure as hell looks like she's being framed. I could see him being scared. Unreal.
Case the feds is trying to prove that there was a cover-up, and you don't call in the key witness. And so Lucky is reported that he didn't see a body out there when there would have been one.
That's interesting.
And he's also reporting that he saw a vehicle strangely parked at that location.
Talking about
at the far
Amby's
edge of
comment.
the property where there would normally be nobody parked there. He's even identified the vehicle, not the specific vehicle, but the make of the vehicle. So why wouldn't he was interviewed by the FBI. We know that, but he was not called in to testify. And that's really revealing, isn't it? And it's just one more aspect. So why, sorry, I'm just gonna, okay. So why are there no indictments? The feds seem to be done here, right? They've gone through the TUI process and they've turned over their material to both sides. Nobody was indicted. Nobody's been put on leave. Nobody's been suspended. So,
bro, it's a federal investigation and it's ongoing. At no point did they say that they've concluded their investigation. At no point have they said that. They have turned over their findings, what they have, what they currently have. That is what they've turned over. And they did this for the sake of protecting Karen Reed's rights that she is entitled to just as much as you or I or anybody in this chat or yours. That is her right. So that's why they turned this stuff over. Not because they work for the Commonwealth and they're required to turn it over. They willingly turned it over. And the reason why it's still sealed is because it's an ongoing investigation. Not closed, not done. So the indictments aren't coming yet. The indictments come once the investigation is finished. And it's still an ongoing investigation. Technically, it's still an ongoing investigation once the indictments come. Once there are indictments, it is still an ongoing investigation until the trial is over. If this goes to trial, until whoever is indicted pleads guilty and is and they are found guilty, until that happens, it is still an ongoing investigation. That means that while they're in court, somebody's testifying. It could be like an episode of Perry Mason where somebody walks in and goes, "Excuse me, Your Honor." You got somebody making their with their final witness and they're already blah blah blah, and you know, are you saying that you did this, this, and this, and this? And then somebody runs into the courtroom, "Excuse me," and then taps the co-counsel on the shoulder. And then they go, "What?" Your Honor, new evidence has just been presented to me for the sake of this, and that. Well, we'd like to be able to submit this as evidence. And then they got to file a motion, and then the proceedings will take a little bit longer. That's what happens. Because people have rights. Defendants have rights. I mean, this guy blows my mind, bro. This guy kills me.
If you think the feds are going to come to the rescue here and they found some massive cover up, isn't it? At what point do you let the fantasy go? All right. I mean, Sean has been saying all weekend that the
I'll
feds.
tell you right now. I'll tell you right now. When I hear a public statement from Josh Levy's office saying the result of our investigation is that there has been no wrongdoing, no reason to go forward with this investigation. Once they make a public statement saying that, that's when I let this so-called fantasy go. When that happens, Plevin, I promise you I will. I'll say, well, okay, well, I guess that's it. As far as the federal investigation goes anyway, guess we'll have to see what happens at trial. That's what I'll say. Can't speak for everyone else. But since I am someone who prides themselves of having common sense, my common sense dictates that the day that Josh Levy's office makes a public statement saying there's no reason to further this investigation because we found no wrongdoing coming from the Norfolk County DA's office or anyone working underneath the Norfolk County DA's office. That's when I will stop the fantasy.
Feds were going to arrest everybody Monday morning. As far as I can tell, it's 1:37 right now on a Monday. I mean, how many times do you get to say things like that where at some point you wake up and you say, my God, just to get real. Yes, I am going to be back to the hearing. I am going to be showing the hearing. So what I have in the past, I've always been able to show the hearing when I put it on. Unfortunately, you don't find it until the last minute. So I will stream the hearing. I have lined up. Usually I have found it on WCVB Channel 5. So I have that lined up. I have Fox 25 up once I found it there. I also have NBC and Court TV lined up. So one of these channels will definitely have it. But anybody out there, if you hear something, if you see a link, as soon as you do, please send it to me. You can send it to my email at leitskev@gmail.com, LEITSKEV, and I'll put it up right away. Boston 25, yeah. So I have that lined up. Diego, thank you, Joey Diego. So I do, Mel, yes, we will be streaming it. So, these hearings don't usually start exactly on time. So unfortunately, you'll be sitting there at 2 and you have nothing. And then when it starts, that's when WCVB will usually break in and put it on, and we will stream it. So just keep your eye out for me. For those of you who are on Twitter, I have set up, I've never been able to link TikTok. I have never been able to link TikTok to the stream account here. So I will not be able to, I'm looking at my camera. So
Oh my God, I don't care.
The judge, but out of state and not familiar with this case. But he was very sure that as part of the TUI process, they would never hand over the grand jury minutes, the testimony from the grand jury. But that didn't turn out to be the case. Every indication is that in the package that the feds gave over last week, the end of last week, included in that were the grand jury minutes. So we're going to see what these witnesses testified. We're not going to see it, but those parties are seeing it. So this case seems to be unprecedented in so many ways that sometimes it seems to take.
I agree with you. It's absolutely unprecedented. Never have I ever seen blood samples collected in red Solo cups. Never have I ever seen a leaf blower used on a crime scene. Never have I ever seen yellow tape and boundaries put up to close off a crime, or not used to close off a crime scene the day of. Never have I seen responding police officers show up to a cop's or any the property of where a cop died and not asked to take a look around and see if everyone else was okay. Never have I seen anything like this. And that's just the investigation. That's just the tip of the iceberg in the investigation. I'm not talking about everything that's happened in the last 2 years following that. So yes, it's absolutely unprecedented.
Even judges and career prosecutors and career FBI agents take them by surprise. So the fact that it just seems to be amazing. There's a lot of people have been surprised by that. I also think it's important as we follow this case. I believe in covering these cases as we see on YouTube. I've obviously been doing it, and I think it's important. But I think it's dangerous what's going on now, that if you have the money, and Karen, if you have the resources, it's always been an advantage to have the resources because you can hire a really great lawyer, right? Great legal team, like the dream team for OJ. But any wealthy person has that advantage. But now she's going out and paying social media and people.
I've gone over this before. Let's talk about OJ for a second. Now, did OJ get away with killing those two people? With killing Nicole Brown, right? And her boyfriend. Is that did he get away with this because he had a good legal team? Absolutely. But that's only part of it. There were politics involved, everything. OJ got away with it because the defense attorney team gods, okay, the lawyer gods were shining on Johnny Cochran. Just shining on Johnny Cochran and OJ Simpson. And, of course, the rest of his legal team. Shapiro and Cochran, they say they didn't really get along too much. But trust me, Johnny Cochran was definitely the muscle on that defense team. And what's really funny about that is when I say that gods were shining down on Johnny Cochran, it's because of everything coming together. You had the LA riots that had just taken place. And the LA riots had taken place simply because the public watched a bunch of cops who were caught on video. And this was before cell phones and before cell phones had cameras. Only lawyers and doctors had cell phones at the time, right? And there were these big, bulky, crazy looking things, right? Only lawyers and cell phones had and drug dealers had cell phones at the time. And so there were nobody out there filming everything. Somebody just happened to have like a JVC style video camera and happened to catch a severe beating taking place of a person of color inflicted by a bunch of LA cops. Okay? And then what happens is those guys, those cops were found not guilty. So of course, the people of Los Angeles rioted over this. And I understand it. I'm not saying I understand that it's okay to riot. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but I understand the outrage. I absolutely understand the outrage. So right after this happens, OJ gets accused of killing his ex and her boyfriend, right? And so the lead investigator, Mark Furman, right after this happens, right after the LA riots happens, OJ gets accused. The lead investigator in OJ's case is Mark Furman. And then somehow or another, after Johnny Cochran just happened to accuse Mark Furman of racism because he knew that that's what the climate would be like, after they did this very, very meticulous and very careful jury selection, he knew the way to go was to claim racism. And that O.J. Simpson was a target of racism by the racist Los Angeles Police Department, right? And then, magically, what happens? Yes, Ron Goldman. Thank you, Mandy. Then what happens? Right? Then what happens is these tapes just emerge of Mark Furman bragging about planting evidence, bragging about being racist, using the N-word repeatedly. And that's all it took. That's all it took. That's all it took. People think that
that the glove not fitting was actually what exonerated O.J. Simpson. They had already won the case. The case is already won. That was just the stupidest move allowed by the prosecution. Prosecution's stupid idea was to have O.J. try on this glove. But that's just, I mean, people focus on that because of the entertainment aspect of the sensationalism of the OJ trial, which was, you know, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit, right? But that's just that was just for the glitz and glamour of the whole thing. But really, it was Mark Furman. There's no way that jury was going to convict O.J. Simpson after what Johnny Cochran uncovered about Mark Furman. There's just no way. So, like I said, the defense attorney gods were smiling upon O.J. Simpson and his defense team.
He's got a nonstop public relations campaign that goes on in social media. Now, we know this, we can see the most active ones on Twitter, and they've been particularly active in the last few days. It's almost like a desperate flurry of posts. And some of these posts look really good until you dig into them. So, for example, Olivia was claiming that it's standard policy for an autopsy to take a swab from all of the wounds on the body.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
And she was amazed that nobody had looked into it. Now, I hadn't looked into it either because I didn't, you know, to me, it's common sense that you're not going to do that on every wound, you know? But
it's common sense. Yeah, of course. Hold on. Oh my God, bro.
From all of the wounds on the body. And she was amazed that nobody had looked into it. Now, I hadn't looked into it either because I didn't, you know, to me, it's common sense that you're not going to do that on every wound, you know? But because she said that, I looked it up.
It's common sense. It's common sense. Right? It's common sense that when a police officer is found dead on someone's property or anywhere, if a police officer is found dead under suspicious circumstances, it's common sense that they would not swab every single wound. Why would they do that? That's crazy. I mean, I could just see the medical examiner's office, right? Like in every case. Let's just say every case, according to a Plevin here, right? I love it. Oh my God, dude.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad.
Suzanne, thank you. He's hurting my brain. This guy is dumber than a box of rocks. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's picture, according to Plevin, every single case where someone dies under suspicious circumstances, cop, whoever, doesn't matter, right? And let's imagine what it's like in the medical examiner's office, where or in the medical examining room, where they're actually testing and doing an autopsy, and they go, okay, we've got 2 black eyes here. We've got a fracture going down the back of his head here.
and we've got okay, and you've got lacerations on the arm here. Okay, now what are we going to test? Well, nothing. What do you, well, sir? I mean, I realize that you're the chief medical examiner here, but hey, hey, you do your job, pencil neck. Don't tell me how to do mine. Ghostbusters. But no. Okay, just do what I tell you. Okay? And you test what I tell you to test. There's no reason to test any of these wounds. But sir or ma'am, I mean, you don't see there's a bunch of scratches down his arm, and shouldn't we swab it at least have samples in case they want us to test it later? No, it's not necessary. I'm telling you. Okay, I'm telling you, there's no reason to test it. But sir, this is a deceased police officer. What'd I just say? Don't test it. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's King Tut. Okay? We don't test every single wound. Who told you that? Who told you that you're supposed to test every single wound when someone dies under suspicious circumstances? Show me that in the rule book. Well, actually, it's right here, sir. It was on my final when I got a degree to do this, actually. I don't care. We're not testing, okay? Common sense. Plevin, bro, you kill me. I love it.
And from what I found, she was wrong. And I began my search with ChatGPT, but I'm always cautious with ChatGPT. But now it's very good in that it lists the sources. So I went to the sources that it linked. And actually, the first one it linked, I didn't like because it was just an article. I wanted something more authoritative. So I went to something that was like a handbook on autopsies and stuff like that. And I quoted it in my Twitter. If you want to see, you can go in there. I quoted it yesterday. But
yeah,
no, and common sense is exactly how they do it.
Yeah. Follow Plevin on Twitter if you just want endless laughs.
They're not going to swab parts of the body that aren't relevant to the investigation. So they're swabbing, looking for pieces of material or for pieces of DNA. And this is the one handbook on autopsies and stuff like that. And I quoted it in my Twitter. If you want to see, you can go in there. I quoted it yesterday. But no, and common sense is exactly how they do it. They're not going to swab parts of the body that aren't relevant to the investigation. So they're swabbing, looking for pieces of material or for pieces of DNA. And there was no reason for them to be looking for canine DNA. There was just never any reason for that.
It doesn't matter if they were looking for anything specific. You swab it, and then if the issue comes up later, this is what common sense actually dictates. If the issue comes up later, then they test it for DNA. That's it. But they take samples. They take samples of every wound. Of course they take samples of every wound. Of course they do. They take the samples. Doesn't necessarily mean they test it for DNA right then and there. But they take the samples. And then if the issue of the dog comes up, well then you test it for canine DNA. But here's the thing. It wasn't tested for canine DNA. Do you know why it wasn't tested for canine DNA? Because it didn't exist. It, meaning the sample taken that would be standard for any wound inflicted, any fresh wound inflicted by a victim who died under suspicious circumstances. I would think at least a police officer. Dude, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah. They couldn't have anticipated the wild conspiracy theory that came out later, and they knew that John hadn't gone in the house. So what would they have been swabbing for? Well, I suppose they could have been swabbing for pieces of taillight, but they had that in plenty of other sources, so it just wasn't necessary to swab those wounds on his arm. And it even said in the handbook that I read that considering
right, like, how do they know that he wasn't poisoned? You know what I mean? How do they know? They're going to swab every source of exposed blood from a cut or a wound. They're going to test it for anything. Anything. Now, dog DNA, I'm not totally convinced of. But I mean, I see that it would be. I mean, why not? If they're testing for any DNA, then I feel like canine DNA would stick out. But the problem is that they never even collected samples. They never collected samples.
The limitations of lab resources is and should be a factor for what they decide to swab. So it's not unusual. Now, there's a lot of discussion while we're on the topic of the medical examiner that possibly the troopers influenced the medical examiner. And this may have been a focus of the feds. Okay, we'll see. You know, maybe they'll talk about it today. We'll find out, right? So I don't know if this is the case or not. And the question is this a problem for the defense or not? Is this a problem generally or not? And the answer is yes, no, and maybe. In an ideal world, everything.
The answer is yes, no, and maybe. Something equals nothing. Nothing equals something. Do the math.
Part of the investigation is isolated. So your data guy looks at the data and he has no idea about what else went on in the case, right? He's just focused in on the data. He hasn't been influenced in any way about what the rest of the investigation has found. And the same thing with the medical examiner. You know, she hasn't been influenced by what the prevailing theory is of the accident. She shouldn't know anything like that. That's how it is in an ideal world. That's probably not how it ever is in the real world. And so but it is important to look at this and to make sure things were done as fairly as possible. I have found that in any of the true crime cases that I've looked at,
Olivia's saying, I mean, they did. Yuri Buchanik called the medical examiner at 10:41 a.m. to report they believed that it was a domestic assault with a cocktail glass. So certainly they later told the ME in person that it was motor vehicle, that it was right. So now what wounds are consistent with a cocktail glass, right? Or could be believed to be consistent with being inflicted by a cocktail glass, right? So if they called the medical examiner, let's think about this. Let's picture that scenario now. If Buchnick called the medical examiner and told them that they believed that it was domestic assault with a cocktail glass, why would they not, especially if they believed that they even said later on that they believed that the wounds coming from his arm couldn't have been from a dog, but they believe it was from the cocktail glass that scratched him all up. Well, why wouldn't they test those wounds? If they're trying to prove that it was an assault with a cocktail glass, why wouldn't they test any wound that might even be consistent with a cocktail glass? Especially if they're going to argue later that the wounds that they're saying are not a dog attack were inflicted by a cocktail glass. You test them. You absolutely test them. Why wouldn't you test them? You take samples from the open wounds to test for glass shards, paint chips, if from a car, and assailant's DNA, etc. The medical examiner had the duty to determine the source of said wounds. She didn't. Agreed. She did not. That's why everyone is like, what in the hell? That's why you look and sound ridiculous, and everyone like you looks and sounds ridiculous when you say things like, you know, the ME didn't even test for it. Well, they're not supposed to. What do you mean? That's their job. They didn't take samples. What?
One of the most alarming parts is how police and prosecutors develop tunnel vision. It's dangerous because it's not corrupt. It's dangerous, though.
Okay. It leads to corruption, though. And I find that really interesting that you just brought that up, because that's exactly what a lot of people think the case is here, that they got tunnel vision. Now, other people think she's being framed straight up. She's being framed, and it's because of the people that were in the house with their law enforcement associations that they have. So she's being framed to protect them. So that's one theory. But another theory is that they just went down this road and just kept doubling down because they didn't want to have to admit later that they made a mistake. That they got tunnel vision that was leading down, the tunnel leading down to Karen Reed hitting him with the car. Hitting John O'Keefe with the car. So that's tunnel vision, dude. What are you talking about? And everything indicates that what's happening to Karen Reed right now is a result of, at the very least, tunnel vision, if not straight up corruption. And if you're going to cover things up and you're going to alter statements, official statements, that is corruption. Misconduct is absolutely corruption. If you are violating someone's rights in order to get a conviction, that is corruption. If you are doing things like planting evidence in order to get someone locked up for a crime they didn't commit, that is absolutely corruption. Corruption has to take place in order for this tunnel vision this danger that tunnel vision can create. That's the danger. The danger is that it leads to the corruption to maintain that tunnel vision, to maintain that narrative that they're trying to prove to a jury at some point that an innocent person is actually guilty. Incredible, dude. Killing me right now.
It's a human nature thing that we all start buying into a narrative. So does that prevailing narrative influence the medical examiner's report? Probably. And is that something that should be guarded against? Yeah. Hell yeah. But what does that mean for this case here? My guess is somewhere between nothing and not much. If that's all that they have, again, when you stack it up against all the other mountains of physical and data evidence, to me, it probably doesn't mean much, but we would have to see what the specifics are on it. So are there any other problems? Is there a pattern where it looks like the investigators were deliberately trying to influence the way technical experts performed and stuff like that? So I do think it's a huge problem in police investigations generally, probably in every case. It is something that has to be focused on by the defense if there's something there. But it's certainly not going to be a basis to throw something to dismiss a case. This is as the state talked about in the precedent cases that they cited, a grand jury's indictment is almost kind of a sacred thing in our system. So the grand jury listens to all the evidence and they make a decision.
It's all sacred. See, that's the problem. All of it's sacred. To everyone here who's angry about what's going on here, all of it's sacred. Every aspect of our justice system is sacred. It is designed to protect people's rights. There's not one piece that's sacred and another piece that's not so sacred. Taking blood samples, taking samples of every single wound of a dead police officer found under suspicious circumstances is sacred. Collecting evidence and handling it the right way and protecting the chain of custody of that evidence is absolutely sacred. Turning over discovery to the defense to let them know that we have your client dead to rights and this is the proof that we have. Turning that over to the defense in order for the defense to be able to prove to disprove it given the opportunity. Because if it is proof beyond a reasonable doubt, well then there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to turn it over. So incredible, dude. Like, it's all sacred, Plevin. All of it. Every aspect that goes into our justice system. If you are a patriot and you believe in rights, you believe in freedoms, then it's all sacred. Every aspect of the justice system is sacred. Ladies and gentlemen, Noel will be leaving on the next flight out of the chat, and make sure to buckle up, and drinks will not be served on this flight. Thank you, and we'll see you on the ground, and have a good night. Bye, Noel.
I think we got a super cat. Super cat. I think we got a super cat. Super cat. Super cat. Super cat. I think we got a super cat.
James Henderson, thank you. This guy will never change his mind. They failed John and Karen by not swabbing those dog bites. Agreed. Now, whether or not they're dog bites has to be determined officially by swabbing them at least. That's step one, swabbing them. And failing to come up with the means to be able to prove whether or not those are dog bites absolutely fails John and Karen. Both of them. Especially John.
Whether to indict or not, whether to indict on what charges and not. And they're saying that when they make their indictments that there's probable cause for a trial. So the grand jury has decided there should be a trial. So it's a very heavy burden to show that some evidence that was presented to that grand jury was corrupted in a way that would change what they decided. And it's extremely rare for any judge to do that. And I guarantee Karen's team understands that very well right now. So there's not going to be, they're not expecting to get this case dismissed. It's going to trial. Unless there's a plea deal that's worked out, it's going to trial. So let's just take a quick, so we're at 10 of 2. We'll take a quick look to make sure, but I don't expect, I'll do this periodically. And if you guys could be looking too, I'd appreciate it.
I love
through the various.
I love when people entertain the possibility still at this point that there's going to be a plea deal. That shit is hilarious to me. That at this point, after everything that we've seen, 2 years later, that there's somehow going to be a plea deal. There's no fucking way. The main reason why Karen Reed wants to have this case dismissed is because a trial is going to be so expensive. Otherwise, she would love for a jury, anybody would. She would love for a jury to hear the defense poke holes through every single theory that the prosecution has. The prosecution simply does not have any damning proof that Karen Reed is guilty.
Channels to see what's streaming. And as soon as we get a link, somebody please send it to me. But usually these things don't pop up until right as the hearing, right before it's starting. So nothing is on.
Plevin, you couldn't get a Zoom login, bro?
I don't think, for some reason, Court TV, I always put them up in case they have it, but they never seem to cover this case. They don't cover the live. I don't know why, but I do have it up just in case. And
Turtle Boy is in trouble again, according to Grant.
And we got on Fox. We got NBC too.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a little bit more than just Grant's word on things, but okay, I'm interested.
Yeah, just when I go into these tabs, I refresh it to see.
Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate it. We'll do the super chat song just because Plevin's trying to figure shit out.
We do have the article on NBC up now.
I think we got a super chat.
So this came up a few hours ago. It says Monday is the final pre-trial hearing.
Thank you, Carrie.
Last week, prosecutors said they have DNA evidence that links Reed to John O'Keefe's death. Documents indicate that a piece of O'Keefe's hair and pieces of the glass from the drink he was carrying were found stuck under Reed's SUV.
So
the documents also paint a picture of a relationship.
I've known Cherry for a minute now. Cherry's had a little bit to drink tonight. I could tell. Try and deny it, Cherry. Try and deny it. Flight 6969 Grandmaster Sid so close.
Turmoil. So
she's in a
this
mood.
gives you this gives us a pretty strong indication of the accident recreation.
I said no solid evidence, K-Tech. Are you listening? No evidence. The glare. You may want to check the back, check the back and under her SUV. John's DNA, who was the boyfriend of the owner of the SUV, and his DNA was found on the vehicle. Shocking. Amazing. Probably a handy guy. I mean, I'm assuming that John was probably a pretty handy guy. So yeah, shocking. DNA on the taillight. Who cares? Who knows? Who knows? He could have been leaning on it. Who knows? He could have put his hand on the taillight while he was putting groceries in the trunk. I mean, right. I mean, it is his stuff, practically. You know what I mean? This is what you have to understand. When I say no solid evidence, it means that it's something that you cannot come up with any explanation as to why it's there, besides her hitting John with the vehicle. If I could come up with that, and I have a chat full of people that are like, yeah, that makes sense, then guess what? A jury is going to do the same thing. A jury is absolutely going to do the same thing. And all it takes is for one juror to do the very same thing and go, yeah, man, I mean, Dude, you got to give me something better than that. So I mean, it was his girlfriend's car, right? So I bet you anything that my DNA is all over my girlfriend's tail light right now because I was just working on it last week. So, yeah, no solid evidence. And then glass fragments and wherever else the prosecutor has the defense hasn't leaked. Okay, so I don't know nothing about, I mean, the defense has every right to leak anything that they want. There is no gag order on this case. So to say that implying that they did something unethical or illegal is ridiculous because there's no gag order on this case. The only thing that there's a seal on is the federal investigation's findings that they have so far. But glass fragments, I mean, okay. glass fragments that were collected when? When were these glass fragments collected? Were they collected from the scratches on his arm? Oh, I'm sorry, they weren't tested. So if I go to a jury, if the prosecution presents that to a jury and I'm going to cross-examine or in my closing arguments talk to a jury and I'm going to go glass fragments, when was these glass fragments collected? I'm going to ask the investigators, when were these glass fragments collected? Who handled these glass fragments? When were they logged into evidence? When were they submitted as evidence in this case? I mean, if I can do that, all it takes is for the jury to ask those questions the same way. Go, yeah, like, wait a minute. So who handled the evidence? Because at this point, even if they say, well, this, and this, it's their word, which their word at this point is not credible. Because I could sit there as a defense attorney and still say, well, I mean, how do we believe you? How do I know that you handled this evidence the correct way when you put blood samples in red Solo cups that were provided by a neighbor? When you blew the whole crime scene around with a leaf blower? And why? Yes, at minimum, this was bad police. Exactly, Amy in Boston. This is my point, is at minimum, this is bad police work. These guys, the people who did the police work, cost John O'Keefe justice. If Karen Reed's even guilty, they cost John O'Keefe justice. Why didn't they do their due diligence? Why didn't they do their due diligence in proving that a fellow police officer, a fellow brother of the badge, was murdered? Why didn't they do their due diligence? That's the question here. Because you're not going to get a conviction based on the details of this investigation. The details made available, just the ones made available to us, is enough to exonerate Karen Reed. In trial, anyway. It has yet to be determined whether or not it's going to happen before, whether or not it's enough to dismiss the case. It has yet to be determined whether it's enough to charge the Commonwealth with criminal or with governmental misconduct. Oh my goodness.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad. I think we got a super dad.
Oats and Honey, thank you so much. The sheer ignorance of this clown to constantly wax poetic about mob mentality, yet have no fucking clue about our adversarial judicial system. Agreed. Agreed. I mean, come on, dude.
So
yeah, so the evidence has to be overwhelming. The evidence has to be something that is indisputable. It has to be something that a defense attorney can't do exactly what I just did, which was go, what the hell? Why? Why did this happen? Why was it handled like this? Well, you handled this like that. How do we know that you didn't handle it the same way and now you're lying about it?
this suggests that Karen backed into John in the midsection, doing trauma damage to those organs that is noted in the autopsy. And for the DNA and the glass pieces to get underneath the vehicle, so it must have went over him enough. And now, according to the prosecution's brief description in September document, they said she didn't stop. So it's still, so she somehow.
Okay. Hold on a second. I got to do it. I got to do it. Just for old time's sake. I got to do it. I got to find it here. Here we go. Now, Plevin just said that he was hit in the midsection, right? Kevin just said that he was hit in the midsection. The autopsy reveals that he suffered this from his, the injuries to his organs, and it proves that he was hit in the midsection, right? So that's Plevin's video. Okay, Plevin made that video. Now let's play that one more time. Let's play that one more time. Hold on, because you need the music. The music has to be there for that. Hold on, I missed a super chat here, I think. Hold on. Garrett, thank you so much. Play the song because Amy Boston got ripped off. Oh, okay, all right.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad. I think.
Garrett, thank you, Garrett. I appreciate it, buddy. Dude killed me, bro. Like I can't with this dude.
Never hit the brakes, and his arm must have went underneath the SUV, causing the wounds on the arm. I would assume, unless they were caused by the taillight piece there, but he actually did get under there with the glass, and most of the cocktail glass ended up with him 12 feet back on the lawn. So as part of that accident, he held on to the glass, but pieces broke off and ended up underneath it. So something like that. We're going to hear a more thorough description, obviously, by the state later on.
Oh my God. So this guy is just a fountain of misinformation. It's so fascinating.
Defense just entered the court a few minutes ago. All right. So guys, please keep checking for me and let me know. This is always the most stressful part of this, is waiting till I can find the actual stream. I also want to remind you guys that I have a new video up on the new channel that's Mind Hunting from Death Row. These are my interviews with convicted killer Bill Noguera. We'll also be live tomorrow, where you'll be able to ask him questions. We've been doing this every Tuesday at 5:45. I go on about 5 and talk about other things, and then Bill comes on around 5:45. And you're able to get him questions. He's been in prison for 40 years. And he spent most of that on San Quentin, and spent a lot of time getting to know serial killers so he could try to get in their heads. He himself is not a serial killer, but he is a convicted killer. He was initially sentenced to death. So the new episode that I have up is a fascinating interview about the dating game killer who he got to know. This guy is Rodney Alcala. And it just was, when I did the interview, not kind of paying attention while you're doing it, but I went back and edited it later. It was one of the more fascinating discussions I've seen and insightful on these type of killers. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, please check it out.
Oh my God. Man, you guys, Cuck Church is ruling my whole, he's ruling it.
I'm still checking to see. We're still early here. These things don't usually start exactly at 2, but let's keep checking. So I'll be a little distracted as I'm doing this, and keep checking for the
I think we got a super chat.
Please let me know.
I think we got a.
Scott McGinnis, thank you so much. It was bad police work on purpose from the jump. All a cover up. Karen Reed was supposed to plead out to manslaughter. Instead, here we are. Boom. Right. They expected her to plead
news
out.
On ABC, there was an 11-year-old girl killed in a fire that might have been sparked by a charging device. It's terrible. Shooting death of a 17-year-old boy in Worcester.
Y'all are killing me right now, bro. Oh my God. These are fucking hilarious.
So I'm still checking on channel 5. And then checking back with you guys. And we got Fox on too.
So pick one, bro, and stream it.
Fox has breaking news. Investigation underway after 2 bodies found at Boston hotel.
Oh my God, dude.
I think we got a super chat. Super chat. I think we got a super chat. Super chat. Super chat. Super chat.
Let me check back with you guys and see if you guys have found it. Kevin, this whole thing seems right.
I think we got a super chat.
Yeah. Sometimes it really does feel like stranger than reality. It's such a weird case.
We got a super chat. I think we got.
I let it go a little longer there for you, Grandmaster Sid Sophos. Thanks, buddy.
Ashley was nowhere near the hotel. Well, awesome. I wasn't suspecting you. Cowboy fans, is TB60 at the hearing? Is that Turtle Boy? I mean, I would assume he's on the scene
today, Junior.
At the courthouse, possibly outside the courthouse if he couldn't get in. I'm not even sure if he's allowed in. I haven't followed the TB stuff as closely. For me,
you're a fucking liar, dude.
The problem is the trying to intimidate witnesses.
This man's. I haven't been following the TV stuff closely. No. I just talk as much shit about him as I can, and
You're lying. And you're a piece of shit.
People trying to smear people, trying to control people and silence them in order to have your organization, your group digging.
Organization, I love it.
For dirt on everybody. And that's the real problem with that phenomena, but I don't follow the specifics of the case. I would just like.
Wait. So, wait a minute. Man. Why in the hell would an investigative journalist be digging up information on someone? What in the hell? Who would do that? Who would do that? An investigative journalist. Shut up! But an investigative journalist, that's what they... Shut up, I said!
Just like to see that phenomena stop. You know, it's not for me to want to see anybody in jail, especially if they haven't committed a violent crime. But I just want to see the behavior stop. It's not necessary. You have a big following. Just stick to news. Stick to analyzing the news. Stop the craziness. But I don't think he's capable of it. Just reading the comments, guys. About this. I said this is always the most stressful part because I'm always trying to find out exactly where it is, and I never know until right as it's starting. But I'm assuming someone will tell us.
I can't with this dude, bro.
Court TV has on a live thing about the Baldwin movie shooting. Well, that is probably, it's got 4,000 people watching, so that we tend to forget that the Karen Reed case is really a local phenomena.
Yeah, that's why I'm covering it.
And even locally, the overwhelming majority of people have never heard of it.
Oi, cunt!
All right, guys, 1:59, so it should be soon.
Well, he can't outsmart me because I'm a moron.
Keep your eyes out, guys. Let me know. Again, if you find the link, please send it to me at leitskev, LEITSKEV, @gmail.com. And you can just generally email me anytime. If people are polite and they have their different theories on this case, I always respond to it. Bob Stanley says he's watching.
Okay, smartass. Let's see what this mystery's all about.
So where are you watching it, brother?
Oh my God, this guy's too much fun. I just want the behavior to stop.
We got a special disliking for these bungolas.
Wow. Okay. Kevin, come on, buddy. Jesus, keep it classy, buddy. Kevin, come on, man. You got to keep it classy, buddy. This is so unprofessional, my friend. Hey, knock it off. The feds are coming for Kevin, by the way. You guys know that, right? Any second now.
Fox 25. All right, I do have it there, and I don't see it on.
Oh my goodness.
So I can just watch live, I guess. Let's see what
I think we got a super chat. Super chat. I think we got a super chat. Super chat.
I don't see it on Fox 25.
I think we got a super chat.
Hit in the midsection with his arm under the car, holding a glass, no broken bones, got up, kicked off his shoes, and launched himself 8 feet into the lawn, landing on his back. And his cell phone, thank you, Nancy Usher, let's not forget, his cell phone found under his back. Yeah, that sounds real believable. That's just fantastic, Kevin. You are just knocking it out of the park there.
This guy is unfucking believable.
I'm on here, and I don't see it.
Wow, dude.
Fox 25 on YouTube. Okay.
Oh, that must be
All right,
exhausting.
good call. Got it.
Hey!
Hold on one second. Thank you for the YouTube call.
He got it, guys. He got it.
Thank you for the call with YouTube. I never thought to check Fox 25 on YouTube, and I will be quiet as soon as any speaking starts on the hearing. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Whew, that's always stressful.
All right. I'm just going to fast forward to like when this is over so that we can hear his thoughts.
I'm not sure. I think the Rule 17 maybe would reply to more discovery evidence, but I'm not sure. I'm not a lawyer. And I have no idea what Rule 14 is. We've seen Rule 17 come up a lot. The defense, now we know they have coming up a motion to
that guy needs a Dietz and or an Olivia in his chat, because I was streaming this thing live and I had Dietz just blasting the chat with what the Rule 17, Rule 13, all of those were, because she had this thing called Google. And it was extremely helpful. So every time they mentioned a rule that we didn't know, because I'm not criticizing him for that. I'm just saying he needs people in his chat that are, you know, inclined to know the truth, inclined to seek the truth, inclined to seek facts, fact-driven people in his chat who do something like, you know, take a second and Google.
Dismiss the case, and also a motion for sanctions. And Alan Jackson mentioned a motion to disqualify. I don't know what that is. We've already seen them try to get the judge removed this summer. They're trying to get a DA removed. I mean, get the prosecutor removed. I don't really know what that is. They didn't clear on it. They have a motion for extraordinary government misconduct. But again, this is all showmanship. None of that, there's no indication that any of that was ever in the documents. Again, I want to remind everybody that nobody has ever, no, extraordinary government misconduct. But again, this is all showmanship. None of that, there's no indication that any of that was ever in the documents. Again, I want to remind everybody.
I mean, there's no indication of anything that's in the documents. What do you mean? There's no indication. We have no idea what's in the documents. We have no clue what is in that. What are in those documents? No idea at all.
That nobody has been indicted. None of the investigators have been indicted. None of the investigators have been put on leave. None of them received a target subpoena.
What's up, Mike?
So, I mean, it's all incredibly unlikely. And this is basically defense lawyers. They kind of have to be a game show host. Now, when we watch a movie,
I mean, he's not wrong. Like, it helps if a defense attorney has panache, has a winning personality. It helps if any attorney, not just a defense attorney, but a prosecutor, of course, anybody who could get the jury's attention and keep them engaged and make them like that lawyer, that always helps. So, I mean, but the thing is that they're not doing that. Like, not only, I mean, Alan Jackson is absolutely a rock star. Totally 100%. He's absolutely what he says he is, in the sense that he is shiny, But the problem with what Plevin's saying is that's not all Alan Jackson is. Alan Jackson is also willing to put forth proof of these allegations. There's no attorney on the planet that would risk their entire career by saying in such a high-profile case, hey, we plan on charging. We plan on charging District Attorney Morrissey's office with government misconduct, unless they could prove it, unless he feels that he could prove it, unless he is sure in his mind that he can absolutely prove it. He wouldn't just say that just to say it. That's absolutely unethical. You're going to accuse an officer of the court of government misconduct? That's a hell of an accusation. These people aren't going to just risk their prestigious careers on making a claim like that. I mean, that could be subject to lawsuits. I mean, think about that. Like, think about the damage you could cause if you can't prove that. I mean, you've got me right here, 630 people watching. And I'm sitting here saying, dude, there's got to be some validity to it. And that's 630 people watching right now that are going to go, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Not necessarily agreeing with you, but it makes sense. And how many of these 630 people actually believe that there is government misconduct taking place based on everything that we already know? Because the fact of the matter is that is exactly government misconduct. What District Attorney Morrissey did by making that public statement that was almost 6 minutes long, where he says it needs to stop. What he did by doing that, and everything that he said around that, is definitely government misconduct. That could be argued. That could absolutely be argued that was jury tampering. tampering with jury selection. The same way, and I don't think, I mean, I'm not going to say that that's what it is because I don't know. But if they could say what Turtle Boy's been doing and try to prove that and try to say that Turtle Boy and Karen Reed are colluding to, and the purpose is to taint jury selection, well, then, you know what I mean? That could be considered the same thing. It's definitely unprofessional for the prosecution to try to use the court of public opinion. Here he sits there in the very thing that is morally and ethically questionable. What he did was he states these words that a trial is run in a courtroom and not on the internet. And yet that shit is played all over the internet as far as anybody talking about this case. That shit is getting insane exposure. Think about that. I'm gonna keep doing these these Plevin ones. I am gonna wrap this up because I like to try to keep these down to 3 hours. And I've actually got to make it to the store before they close. I gotta pick up some more dog food for Clubber for tomorrow, and I'm almost out of smokes too. So I've got to manage my time here, folks. As much as I love hanging out with you guys, and I'm out of coffee creamer too, so I can't even make another pot of coffee, and I'm out of coffee. So that's not happening. I'm not sitting here any longer without any more coffee. So, but anyways, guys, I love you guys very much, and I think oh shit, yeah, I just got a notification that Turtle Boy's going live. That's right, he goes live on Tuesday nights. I'll see you guys in that chat in I don't know, 30 40 minutes. But yeah, you guys are fantastic. I love you guys very much, and we will do this again very soon, my friends.